In the last video about integers, you observe that we use the number line to get some idea of how to add and subtract integers. Now we're going to try to think and try to generalize these ideas in the way that I ask you at the end of the video to do it. So let's go with how to add integers using some general rules. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to add integers, and to add integers we're going to understand the rules that are for adding and negative integers and examples to practice. Now, just bear in mind and remember what we use with the number line. And using the number line, we observe that if you add two positive integers, the result is going to be always positive, because if you have a number on a number line, if you have any number on a number line and it's positive and you want to add another positive number, you're going to move to the right in your number line. So in this case, for example, if you have 3 units and 4 units, I just need to have 7 units as my answer. So always the answer is going to be positive if you add two positive integers. Two positive integers. Oh God. Now what happens if you add negative integers? If you have two integers that are negative and you want to add them, so what we're doing is moving our point to the left of the number line. So in this case, the answer is going to be negative. So the answer of the addition of two negative numbers is going to be negative. Remember that this negative 3 plus negative 4 is the same as negative 3, and adding the negative is subtracting the positive. So negative 3 minus 4, it's going to be the same as negative 3 plus negative 4. So it means that if I have two negative integers that are added, the answer is going to be negative, and what I'm going to do is to add the distances of the numbers. So in general, when you add two negative numbers, the answer must be negative. Now, what happens if I want to add a positive and a negative integer? If I want to add a positive and a negative integer, in all cases, the idea is that you have to subtract the absolute values. So from the larger value, you're going to take the smaller value. So take the larger value and subtract it. And in this case, we're gonna keep the sign will match with the larger absolute value or with the larger distance. So in this case, for example, 5 plus minus 3. Remember that adding the negative is the same as subtracting the positive. So it's the same as 5 minus 3. And the answer is going to be 2 because the highest distance or the higher absolute value is 5, that it's positive. So the answer must be positive. And I have to subtract the distances. And in this case, I got negative 5 plus 3. And negative 5 plus 3 is just, what we're doing here is just having the highest absolute value is negative because it's 5. So the answer must be negative. Just bear in mind these ideas to add positive and negative integers. And remember that sometimes you can observe that there's a subtraction, but remember that you can see the subtraction of a number as adding the negative number. So this rule stands, doesn't matter if we're talking about subtraction or addition. Finally, to sum up, if you add integers, requires knowing the sign of the number. So remember that you can use always an addition, or you can see a subtraction as an addition all the time. So for example, if you have 7 minus 8, remember that you can observe this subtraction as the sum or addition of a positive and a negative number. So in both cases, we're doing the same. And remember, every time you add two positive integers, the answer must be positive. 7 plus 8, both numbers are positive, so the answer must be positive. And if you have two negative numbers, negative 7 minus 8, or negative 7 plus negative 8, the answer must be a negative number. And positive plus negative requires comparing absolute values. But remember that the highest absolute value, the highest distance from 0, it's going to keep the sign of our answer. And these are the rules that we can think of when you're adding or subtracting integers. So when you add or subtract integers, remember that we have these rules, and these rules help us to identify what we can do and how to do it. So remember, positive with positive gives you a positive number. Negative plus a negative number is going to give you a negative number. And finally, if it's positive plus a negative number, you need to check the highest absolute value. That is the one who's going to tell you the final sign. You can understand this by watching the last video in which we did it using a number line. Using a number line where you can observe each of these strategies. Finally, I suggest you to work out on these problems that are here. Try to do it. Write the answers in the comment section, and I will answer your questions about it. See you in the next video. I hope that you get a good idea of how to work out with positive and negative numbers and how to add integers. Have a nice day, and I hope that you enjoy this video. Like it and comment. Bye bye.